Hello, everyone. This is Elizabeth Geiger, and welcome to my studio. I like the idea of having a formal space before I enter my studio, before I enter the chaos that it always is. And let me tell you, it always is. My studio never looks the way this video looks. I just cleaned it up for various reasons, in part because I had to take some photographs of my artwork, but also just to so you guys could actually see stuff, because usually there's just stuff everywhere. And one of the things that I thought would be interesting to show you is this stack of books, which were collected while cleaning my studio from everywhere. They were open, I was using them. This just gives you an idea of how much I look at books and rely on them. This is how many books I've been looking at over the past month, let's say. So I could have these books on a stool next to me, on the floor. I might plop them open on a still life next to me. They're everywhere. So let's go into what I call the main room, the bigger studio room. And it's such a luxury. It's been a dream my whole life to be able to have more than one still life setup. And I have so many now. But my old studio was so small for so many years that I could only have one table in it and one setup, and I had to finish the painting before I started something else. Now it's the reverse. I'm in just a lollapalooza of still life all around me. And I usually stand in the center of the room, and I can just rotate myself around and around to look at any of these tables. And I'm starting to think of them now as even in groups of tables. So I have many tables that I've collected over the years, just like I've collected objects. And they're all around, and I'm usually just taking things off and putting them on, sometimes without thinking about it. I might be setting up another table and I just dump something on that. But over time, these tables start to develop their own quality, and I might look at it and say, "Wow, that's a still life right there." So here I am at my not so small palette that has multiple versions of all 6 of the colors on the color wheel, plus some earth tones, and black and white, and my little card to remind me that there are no right colors. So, which is to say that I'm not matching colors to what I'm seeing. I'm relating them to each other. And that's what I spend the majority of my time in the studio doing, is mixing colors and just looking at them on this palette table and seeing if I like them. This is what I call the second room. It's a little narrower, a little smaller, and it has a spectacular view of the city of Staunton. And why I'm not a cityscape painter is beyond me when we're living here. But when I back up and you see the room, you'll see how great it is. This room has great sunbeams in the morning that I know my husband would like to paint, but I tend to avoid those. It also has my old cabinet that I used to love to open and paint the inside of, and I should get back to doing that because it's been a while. And then just more tables and some paintings for my upcoming show. So this is the biggest painting that I've made ever, and it's basically a combination of looking at a Picasso painting and a Dahim painting that are taped on the wall next to it. I tried setting up a still life too, but I didn't use it much and it just didn't work. I just kept looking at those images and thinking when I looked at the Dahim, um, what would Picasso have painted this? What would he have done with all of this complexity? So when I'm starting a painting, the best place to start is in a sketchbook to think over maybe the scale that I want things, maybe the shape of the actual canvas that I want to use, um, things like that. I might, after that, move on to a bigger sketchbook and actually try drawing the objects, which are oftentimes in a group, and just to see how maybe the rhythms will play out. Where do I want to put this group of things, this tabletop? Where on the rectangle do I want it? And also, what kind of personality do I want the objects to have? What I might do next is start thinking about colors. What kind of palette do I want to use? And for that, I do small studies on paper with a palette knife. These are often very simple and crude, and I don't always finish them, but they allow me to think abstractly and allow me to think about color apart from the objects themselves. Sometimes I might take out a larger piece of paper and do an extended drawing if I just really want to dig in to an idea and see what the big shapes are going to be like, what the forms of the objects are going to be like before I start getting into the color and the brushwork of a painting. Or I might just start out with a couple of different oil sticks. If I know I'm going to be making a large painting, I always try to make a study for it that's close to the size, and I just use cheap canvas paper. But eventually you have to get out the canvas and actually start a painting. And finally, I've just become comfortable now with the process of experimenting in a painting, constantly rethinking it, being willing to change things, change the setup, change the palette a little bit, change the scale of things. I'm always changing everything. And eventually I either keep going or set the painting aside or stop.